It's good to get some stuff off the old chest.
Therapy.
Hey party people, over 12 here and welcome to the 15th Suburban Gooner podcast. Yes, 15, the numbers 1 and 5 together. Unfortunately, after our 5-1 defeat to Liverpool. With us today, we've got two guests. We've got Ben with us as usual. How you doing, Ben?
Howdy, you alright?
Not bad, thank you. But we haven't got Chris because he's at Strictly Come Dancing. And the guests we've got are Billy, which is at Educated Gooner. How you doing, Billy?
I'm good, thank you very much.
And we've got Luke, which is at cool_of_Lukey. How are you doing, Luke?
Yeah, good, thanks.
So this goes straight into it then, guys. Who wants to start about the Liverpool game? Ben?
No, Billy can. Go on, Bill.
Oh, really? Obviously, hugely disappointed. I was just saying before we went on air that I wished I'd stayed in bed. I probably couldn't even have had a worse nightmare than that. It was surreal. I didn't really believe what I was seeing. They came out of the block so fast, Liverpool, and we looked really sluggish. Didn't look up for it. Even after the first goal, you expected someone to sort of step up and tell everyone to, get a hold of themselves and settle down and get into a rhythm, and nobody did it, and they just kept coming, and I've never seen anything like it, to be honest, with this side at least.
It was one of those things, actually, like you say, where you stayed in bed. I actually hadn't seen the score because I refused to pay for BT Sport because it's so rubbish, and I feel sorry for anyone, Luke, that pays for BT Sport and had to pay to watch that as well. So I didn't actually see the score until
with Michael Owen over the top.
Yes, Michael Owen. I looked on 20 minutes just to see people saying, "Oh, for goodness sake, Arsenal, what's going on, Arsenal?" I'm like, "Oh no!" So I checked the score and just couldn't believe it. But poor old Luke, do you want to tell your story, Luke? What you did yesterday?
Well, I was working yesterday, so I recorded the game. I thought I'd save that. A nice big game to watch in the evening. I got everyone to not tell me the score, as you do. Hid my phone, hid from the family, saved myself to about 7 o'clock in the evening. I started watching the game, skipping through as you do every time the ball goes out for a throw. Every time I skipped it, Liverpool was scoring a goal, and I didn't know how many times this was going to keep happening. So I've appreciated a few phone calls actually from some friends to say don't watch it, but I think everyone wanted me to share the pain as well.
Did you manage to watch the game, Ben?
I did eventually. Luckily enough, it was my wife's birthday yesterday, so we were out in London. We went to the theatre, and we were sort of walking down Oxford Street, and I could hear these two guys like cracking up with laughter, and they're going, "It's 4-0, it's 4." And I'm thinking, is that 4 to us or 4 to them? And I sort of quickly got out my phone, and it wasn't to us, was it? It was to them. And it was just...
It's so sad, isn't it?
Yeah, because I watched it this morning. I recorded it like Luke did, and I put myself through the pain of watching it. And I think it's safe to say it couldn't have gone much worse, really, could it? It's obviously Liverpool were awesome, explosive in attack, brilliant in transition. So you've kind of got to tip your hat to how well they actually played, but you don't really want to say that to an opposition team, really, do you? But I don't know, it's one of those games, isn't it? It's going to make you overanalyse and overthink about what's actually happened. And we saw that from Twitter. Lots of people were sort of angry, and you will be. No one likes to get drubbed like that, especially after the run we've been on. But I don't know, really. It was just self-destruction, wasn't it? And
yeah.
I can't even think of anything positive to say. Maybe Chesney for keeping the score down. You've got someone like Monreal who defensively had a shocker, but offensively he made runs, didn't he?
Sorry, they could have had 3 or 4 more.
Yeah,
they really could have, and we could have had none. I mean, if the penalty wasn't given, we were just fruitless in attack. People have a go at Ozil, who, to be fair to everyone, was pretty shocking, but the whole team was. I mean, they really were. I mean, the only one sort of showing fight was Jack Wilshere, but then he gave the ball away a few times as well. I mean, just bitterly disappointing. Like I said earlier, where were the leaders? Where was Mertesacker? Where was Arteta? Stepping up and saying, "Come on, lads, get yourself together." Nobody was doing that. And then I think the sub sort of came too late. I think he should have probably made a double or triple change at half time.
Yeah.
Rosicky and Podolski immediately sort of, got us slightly more back into the game. They had some urgency about them, especially Rosicky, who I'd like to see start against Man U. Because he just offers that urgency. Whenever he's on the ball, you feel like the team's going to go somewhere, on the pitch. Whereas we had none of that before he came on, Liverpool, none whatsoever. Look, hopefully they know how awful they've been. I think they have from the tweets that I've seen from the players, but they just need to come out firing like Liverpool did against Man U, because otherwise I can see it just spiraling out of control. This
because it raises the sort of the worry of our ability to actually cope with these big games. You sort of look at United. We were completely like sucker punch. City was just a bad day, but they scored 6. We've been, in the grand scheme of things, we have been sort of defensively sound. And to be honest, yesterday, was more likely a one-off. But if you're conceding 5 and no response, like little to no response, it makes you wonder, like, is there something wrong sort of fundamentally, or are we preparing wrong going into these sort of games? Because I said last week on the pod, Steve, do you think that we could beat Liverpool playing badly? And obviously the instant reaction was no, we can't. But that's what we've been doing. We've been, badly might be the wrong word, but we've been just doing the job to get past some of these teams.
Yeah, it's been kind of like efficient results, like you say. And I think picking up what Billy said, actually, is people just love to pick out individual players, but it was a team. The whole team were just terrible yesterday.
All over the field.
You kind of look down your timeline on Twitter, and there's 3 or 4 different people saying the only person that can come out with their head held high is, and they'd all say someone different, or they say, and the worst player was, and they'd all say someone different. It's like, we don't have to have a scapegoat here. It's a team sport. This was a really bad team performance. And, it's just so frustrating, some of the things you see. I think we should do a weekly thing now where we have fucking stupid tweet of the week. Because there's so much rubbish out there. And
it's just frustration, though, isn't it? Some of it, like, you have to just let it slide. You can't sort of get carried away with it. Because people, at the end of the day, we've just watched our football team get drubbed 5-1, arguably, by a team we should be beating. So it's hard to take, isn't it? It's that boring argument of have Arsenal turned a page, as in we were in the summer, we've sort of gone and smashed our transfer record on Ozil, and then we're sort of winning games. It gets to the next transfer window and you're thinking, maybe he might just bring in what's needed, a sort of a lone striker, and nothing's happened. And then we're playing all the big games and not much is happening to shout about, and I think people are still like, oh God, have we still? Because I thought we weren't capable of that anymore. I thought that was gone. I've got to be honest. Like, the days of just us getting obliterated off the park, I thought that had gone.
Well, that's why it was so odd, because the team that this season have been so together and so hard working and good going forward and good at the back. At City it was different. At City it was sort of a crazy game because we still went, for them, and we scored 3 goals at the Etihad, and yet still lost 6-3. Fair play. They did score 6, which is more than Liverpool got past us. But it just the attitude was completely different in the 2 games. We lost against City whilst trying to win, whereas we lost against Liverpool whilst not giving 2 shits. I mean, we really didn't. And it was just bitterly disappointing in that respect, because this team so often looks like a team who really care and really fight for each other, and we didn't have that against Liverpool. And that was the most disappointing thing for me. They just didn't look like they cared. They really didn't. Yeah.
I think that sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't know, but it was the sort of, as Billy just said, it was the sort of lack of endeavour, wasn't it? Even when we won the penalty, it was Chamberlain picking up the ball and driving at the defence, and he's been taken out by Gerrard. And You think surely they could have done that a couple of more times just to get something out of it. I think it was who was it? Someone put something on Twitter that it was like we were like boxers and they'd given us a knockout blow, and instead of going down on one knee, we just fell flat on our faces and just got counted out. And that was fantastic. That's sort of sadly what it was.
It's like Hay versus Audley Harrison. Unfortunately, we were Audley Harrison.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Luke. I don't know.
I think after the penalty, it was quite. And I think, as Wenger pointed out, the fans were really, really, really great. You know, especially at Anfield. And I saw on Twitter. I didn't see the game until a lovely match today, unfortunately. But apparently they were singing 6-5. We're going to win 6-5.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Fair play to them.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to the stage where I was just laughing. My mate's a Villa fan, so he's used to getting trounced every week or every other week, and he was just like, "Welcome to my world, mate." I was like, "Yeah, fair play." I'm just gonna laugh it off, to be honest, because you just can't. You can't think about it. Like I said, I've been trying not to think about it until now, because it gets you down so much seeing your team play like that, especially against a team who you really, really don't want to win just for the fact of their fans giving you it. We have to bounce back. We absolutely must beat United, especially after their performance tonight.
Yeah, that was funny, wasn't it?
It was good light relief.
I literally jumped up and ran and screamed like it was an Arsenal goal.
I had money on Fulham as well. I thought I may as well put £2 on Fulham to win before the game, leading for 79 minutes or whatever it was.
And it had to be him that equalised.
I just texted my mate saying, if that grey-haired beep scores against Fulham.
See, you were cheering like it was us as well.
Yeah, exactly. I was.
Yeah. I don't know. Was there anyone, as you were saying, you don't really want to pick people out, but was there anyone you were sort of just a bit disappointed with at Liverpool?
For me, again, the two players who I think are meant to be sort of those main leaders on the pitch, Mertesacker and Arteta, they should have stepped up and they should have been getting the guys motivated or just getting them level-headed again, doing something. I was very disappointed in that respect for those two. Even though Mertesacker, ironically, didn't actually play awfully, he should have been, screaming at people. Same with Arteta. Jack Wilshere couldn't hold his head slightly higher than some other people. But again, like I said earlier, he wasn't that much better at all. Yeah. But yeah, I think the leaders needed to do something after that first goal, or even the second goal, just grab them by the scruff of the neck, and they didn't do it. And for that reason, I'm going to say those two were the most disappointing for me.
Yeah. I think that's a good shout, actually, because, we say it's a team sport, but when you are captain, vice-captain, third in line, whatever, I think you're right, Billy, you have a bit more responsibility on your shoulders to kind of G people up a bit and give them a shout, because we've been doing that when we're winning. So they damn well need to do that when we're losing. Was there anyone you'd like to pick out, Luke, to hate?
I don't know. I can sort of just mirror those comments, really. I think Arteta had a poor game, and I think against Liverpool last time, he was our best player on the pitch, and we've got a few people that sit around us that give him stick constantly, saying how he's awful at passing, he's slow, he can't tackle. And he really is a good player, I think, but he's just had one of those games, and you look for them sort of players to get everyone going. But the trouble is, I think he's the wrong side of 30 now, and we could have done with a bit more sort of energy in midfield yesterday. And I think it was the wrong choice playing him. Even if you'd sat one of the other players like Jack, who was putting himself around a bit, maybe that could have changed it up. But most definitely, I think he was the one player to pick out. But then they're all poor defensively. You can't stick up for any of them. I think Monreal was poor again. I thought Mertesacker did look like a bus when he was trying to turn yesterday, although he's managed to sort of avoid those comments recently. But I'm not sure. I think it's just, like you say, it's the whole team that let us down yesterday. But if you was going to highlight someone, I think Arteta would possibly be the weakest link yesterday. I don't know. How about you, Steve?
I think picking up on what some of the people were saying, I agree definitely with Billy's remarks. I think they'd be the ones that I'd mirror. But picking up what people were saying on Twitter about everyone was kind of happy with the starting lineup, but then as soon as things starts going wrong, it's why is Monreal playing? How is he in the starting lineup? It's like, come on, be fair. He's had a couple of up and down games, but he's a Spanish international and has played very well for us this season. I think, we did say last week that we would have started Podolski and Gibbs for their partnership. And I'd like to see that. And again, like you say, Billy, I would have definitely put Rosicky in that game. Against the big teams especially, he just brings such an energy, like you were saying, Luke, the energy that was missing. He brings that every time he's on the ball. In terms of picking people out, I don't really want to do it, but again, a couple of the goals, maybe Ozil made a couple of passes, but I'm a big fan of his, and I think people give him too much stick, and it's a bit worrying that we get a world-class player and we finally spend some money, and then people jump on his back straight away, and you don't want him under too much pressure kind of thing. I think we said before, people seem to misunderstand the type of player that he is. He's not somebody that's going to be running, he's not a Flamini type, going to run around and fly into tackles and track back and stuff, but his passing and his vision is just amazing, and he's not even settled yet, so we need to calm down. When I was talking about the stupid tweet of the week, and I'm not going to name any names, but somebody actually tweeted after the game, I hope we don't even finish fourth now. And I mean, we were top of the league before this weekend, and we lose one game. And actually, if we beat Man U, people would have probably been happy with drawing those two games. But if we beat Man U and lose to Liverpool, that's more points than drawing those two games. And those same people will probably be alright after that. And it's like, come on. How about you, Ben? Was there anyone you think had a particular...
Yeah, like you said, I didn't really want to do it. It was just more of a... It don't seem like we're bashing people. But it was Arteta and Wilshere that I was disappointed with, because Liverpool were playing through balls from like their own half. Coutinho was, to be fair, his passing is magnificent. He has come on leaps and bounds, that guy. But his passing was from so high up, and no one was pressing from the front, and the ball was just flying through the midfield, and they were just anonymous. And as you said about Rosicky, I was talking to a couple of people I talked to quite a lot, and we were saying that we wanted Rosicky in there just for obviously what he offers going forward, but more importantly what he offers defensively.
Yeah.
Because you see what they Liverpool did to Everton. They did exactly the same thing to us, and just felt we needed that sort of thing. But it was interesting. I was listening to Tim Asked a Mouse on a podcast the other week, and he was saying that as kids we were sort of brought up on a centre forward wanting him to be like Roy of the Rovers. Do you know what I mean? That's it, sort of like Suarez, where he sort of hustle bustle, runs around. It looks like he's doing more than it is. And it's sort of, after watching that game, I was sort of comparing that analogy to Wilshere, because he keeps getting, instead of just concentrating on his actual football, he's allowing himself to get carried away with the sort of petty little arguments, petulant stuff with the referee. Did he get booked? He got booked, and then he was sort of getting mouthy again. And you think you need to just stay away from all that and just play your football, because he's like the best player on the pitch, but he's almost, it's like he feels like he has too much on his shoulders. I don't think it's been put on him because of the other players we have in the team, but it almost feels like it's his club. He needs to carry us. And I almost feel like that's sort of holding him back.
But it's not just the club as well. It's the country. It's just the nation as well. He is effectively the future of England's, not just midfield, but really England's football.
Well, yeah,
He has been labelled as that since a very young age.
Yeah.
And he has, I think, improved. In terms of being a bit more mature and that. But he's still, like you say, he still responds to things. That little sort of running,
with Gerrard.
Yeah. So yeah, and but to be fair to Jack, he got booked for the first one, or Gerrard didn't get booked for the next one. But he will lose his head, and he will do that. But even I think when he's 28 to 32 and in his twilight years, he'll still be doing that a bit, even though not as much as the type of player he is.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you did need that fight. But like you say, I think, yes, fair to say he should have been focusing on what he was actually doing. His position was non-existent. I think
He was shocking.
He was at one stage he was next to like our fullback, and another stage he's next to Giroud up front, and he's not occupying the central midfield role he's meant to be.
No.
And it was that discipline that I think maybe Arteta should have told. He's next to him on the pitch. Grab him, tell him,
Complete lack
stay
of
where you are.
chemistry, isn't it?
Stop, bannering
They
off
don't.
and
Yeah.
running
There's
into
no.
people.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Carry on.
You sparked something off in my head. It's there's no talk, is there? You see them. They're not at points. They're not even looking at each other.
Yeah,
to say like you.
And it's
Go on,
unusual.
sorry, Billy.
It's unusual for us this season.
And that it's sort of strange. It sort of showed how much more defensively aware Ramsey is. We sort of saw from Chelsea, Man City, where Torre needs Fernandinho, and when you put Michaelis next to him, you might as well put a traffic cone in there instead. But it's almost like, obviously, I've sort of been banging this drum for a while, but long term, we need an improvement on the Arteta role.
Yes.
But for now, we need to find what the perfect combo is, because I've done it. I've flirted with who I like the idea of next to who and with who, but obviously without Ramsey, and it's proved how, I know you're a massive fan of his, Steve, that it proves how good he's been.
Yeah, well, we did all right though. Beforehand, Wilshere's been doing well, and I think he was next to Flamini more though in those games where he was really performing well, and Flamini sort of sat a lot more and was able to run around a bit more than Arteta. But it's just weird as well, because Ramsey's one of those players like Rosicky again, who sort of has that sort of drive and carries the team forward, and Wilshere does that too on his day, but he's kind of unpredictable in that way. How he'll channel his energy as such.
I suppose Wilshere's more like bursts, isn't he? Whereas Ramsey and Rosicky are just engines.
Yeah.
Aren't they? They're just constantly on the move. I think going back to you speaking about Yaya Toure and the traffic cone. Did you see the traffic cone's misplace his touch? Someone literally passed it to him and he completely miscontrolled it and he went out for a throw in. But did you see Toure's kick out?
No.
He I think it was Johnson. Is it Roger Johnson or someone? Off the ball, he's basically kicked him in the back. So it'll be interesting to see if the FA do anything about that. We've got
sorry. Toure kicked someone.
Yeah, in the Norwich game.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Off the ball, and the referee didn't see it.
I haven't really watched football since the
game. I stayed well clear of match of the day.
Oh no.
We've got a match today on in front of us now, just because we like self-harming and stuff. So but did you see the Flanagan tackle?
Yes, that was bad.
He didn't even get booked, did he?
No, but it's the force that he uses, isn't it? Proper aggression.
Yeah, he's just a proper Liverpool boy, isn't he?
Isn't it? It's like someone's nicked his car radio.
Yeah, I think was he the one that said if he scored, you'll hear his parents cheering down the road. He's literally like 200 yards away that he grew up or something.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Liverpool formation and the front three and how fast they break, and they did it against Everton as well. Do you think he's kind of accidentally come across this because of the players that he's got available to him? Because when Lucas was there and when Coutinho was fit at the start of the season, he wasn't playing this. Sterling didn't really get a look in at the start of the season, and it's only in recent weeks that I've kind of noticed this front three that they're playing, because he was playing 4-4-2, wasn't he? That's what he played against us as well at the Emirates.
Well, it was against Spurs, wasn't it, when they trounced them as well? He played a similar thing.
Yes.
Whereas sort of Coutinho, his passing range is magnificent. Obviously he's known for being a tricky winger almost, but he's almost better in those deeper positions. If you could put him with almost a unit, I think they've got a very special player in their hands. I think Inter Milan are probably sort of trying to find a blunt instrument to try and stab themselves, because they only sold him for 8 mil.
Yeah.
So it's also a missed opportunity, I feel, on the Gerrard front, because I don't rate him in that position that he's playing at all at the moment. All these pundits and that are, praising him and saying, oh, it could be his future, and he pops up in the middle of centre backs and he's doing a good job. But he's not really. He gives the ball away a lot. He fouls a lot. And if we'd been on form, we could have had some real fun against him, I think. But it just, speechless, really.
Yeah, and I think that sets the tone. So Wednesday, and Manchester United.
Yeah.
They're coming to town. What do you reckon? What do you reckon, Luke?
1-1. It's got a 1-1 draw written all over it. I have no faith in us winning the game. I'd take a point. We need to rebuild from somewhere now, I think. Get the confidence sort of straight and get back on it.
What lineup would you play, Luke?
What lineup would I play? That's a difficult one now, because I've slated most of the players that played the other day.
Yeah, we all did.
I don't know, Sonogo's going to be playing, so I'm not sure if he gets on too well with our second. I don't know, it's got to be the usual Szczesny in goal, Sanya, Mertesacker, Koscielny. I'd definitely start with Gibbs, because not just defensively, but he gives a lot more going forward, I think. He's got a good work rate on him. I don't know, it's difficult. Is Flamini back, I believe? Now, is he back from his suspension? Will he be back from his suspension?
Don't think so.
Is he not?
I think this is his last game, is it?
Oh, right, it might be that, so that's that out the window. I don't know, you're probably going to play, he's going to play Arteta again. Out of what you've got to play someone in that holding room, so I'll probably give him a go. What would I go for there? I'd probably Wilshere again. Rosicky, I think, in the middle, rather than sticking him out wide. If we need that bit of extra energy in the middle of the field, I'd stick him in there. And then Cazorla, Chamberlain, Giroud, probably. So not too dissimilar to the Liverpool game, but I'd maybe sort of alter the line up in midfield.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
If I'm being totally honest with you, I think he could do with sort of being taken out of the limelight, so he can't be the scapegoat. If we have a bad game, then he's not going to be put under even more pressure. I do think he might need to sort of give him a rest, and if he comes on, makes an impact, and then it sort of...
Is that rational thinking, Luke?
Yeah,
that's banned. But rational thinking's banned from this podcast. You have to say like ludicrous things.
No, I think it would be maybe a good call to just take him out, give him some time, to rest and maybe even just to sort of contemplate, think about it. He's done it before. He's done it.
Naughty step.
Well, I'm not one of those people. I've said this before. I'm not one of those people who thinks Ozil is having a bad season or Ozil is a below par player. I understand completely the type of player he is, and appreciate how he contributes, and actually love the way he plays. But he had a bad game last game. He gave away the ball on 2 occasions that led to goals. He touched the ball 4 times in our own half. It wouldn't be a bad decision. I don't think.
What's going to be more detrimental to him is that he was bought off fairly early in the Liverpool game, and when he was bought here, he was told basically he'd be playing every game, every minute of every game, and he's got that sort of cushion to fall on. But if we play him in the Man United game, he's having a poor game. We want a bit more industry in that position. If he gets taken off again after 65, 70 minutes, it'd be the second game in a row where he's not completed a game and been taken off with quite a bit of time left. And then that sort of gives fuel for people to question sort of the way he's playing at the moment. But if you bring him on for the last half an hour and say to him, look, you've had a little bit of a breather, go out there and show him what you can do, and he makes that final pass or...
The only thing I can't really, the only thing that would make me question, the whole sort of dropping him thing is the fact that he can produce moments of magic, and he can be the one who can create, 1-2 goals for us that we might need. So it's tricky in that respect. Look, I wouldn't be disappointed either way. It would be interesting to see Wenger drop him, but I don't think he will.
No.
But I'd like to see Rosicky start. I really want to see Rosicky start.
Yeah, definitely.
Because he just, if nothing else, and there is a lot else, because he's a genius, but it's just that drive and that determination to actually go out there and get a result and press the opposition, let them know you're there.
What would be your lineup, Billy?
I'd keep the defence the same, bar Gibbs in for Monreal, like Luke said. I'd I want to play. I want to play Arteta because we need to play Arteta. But then I kind of want Oxlade-Chamberlain in the middle because he played well against Palace, really well in that role. And I think he might be quite useful in the middle. He's sort of bigger. He's quite strong. He might be good to have in the middle. I think he'd be more inclined to be disciplined just because I don't know. He seems like the kind of person that would do that. I don't know why, but and then I'd probably play. I'd play Ozil because I can't sort of deny the fact that he could probably create moments of brilliance. I'd play Cazorla and Wilshere on the right. Giroud up top.
How about you, Ben?
I'd same defence as Billy.
Sorry, Rosicky on the right, not Wilshere.
I'd go Arteta and Chamberlain in midfield. I'd have Rosicky on the left, Ozil central, Cazorla on the right, and Giroud up front.
Okay, I think I'd go the same defence as everybody. I'd play Arteta. I'd play Ozil in centre attacking mid. I just think I completely agree that at some point we probably do need to maybe put Cazorla even in the central, it's where he played last season, just to give Ozil a bit of a rest. But I think in a big game like this, he can create something. And actually, if you're Man U and you see he's not on the team sheet, that probably gives you a bit of a lift. I would play next to Arteta, probably Jack, Rosicky on the right, Cazorla on the left, and Giroud up front. But I want to see Podolski at some point as well, maybe coming on. And I agree with you, Billy. Ox did play very well. It's one of those things where you just have to. It was Palace, you know what I mean? But we do have to at some point look at him in centre mid against one of these bigger teams.
Yeah, right. You're bang on. He needs a test because at Palace he had time to turn, look for his passes. He needs more. United, what is a given is that they're going to come and they're going to have it large. Rooney is going to run around and cause havoc like he normally does, and it'd be interesting to see how Chamberlain sort of dealt with that.
The one thing is going back to sort of Wilshere's hot-headedness, though. I can just see Wilshere taking Rooney out completely.
Oh yeah, but Wilshere's
or killing Van Persie on the pitch.
Yeah, he's not my team for
then.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. I was thinking about could Wilshere play in that role that Arteta's been playing, and then you could play sort of say Ozil or Rosicky as well in that centre mid. Could you play Wilshere, or is he going to be too?
I'm not sure he's
reliable
enough.
I think Wilshere is the issue with our midfield. I think Wilshere's, as we said, we don't want to pick out players, but I think his issue is lack of discipline. As Billy said earlier, that he ends up in random places and he's meant to be there supporting Arteta, who lacks mobility. If Arsenal wants to pick a lightweight team, as in small players, we can't be slow. We need to be mobile, intense, and strong, and they need discipline. And I think you've got to go. I think what you were talking about, Steve, about having Podolski, you'd put Rosicky next to Arteta just for his discipline and his endeavour. Yeah. Obviously, his technical ability, but to have the cover and dependable, you'd put Rosicky in there after what happened. But I'd like to see personally Chamberlain next to Arteta to basically see the cut of his jib, to see what he's made of, because he's definitely got it. It's just whether he's got the discipline.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. We have to bite the bullet at some point and play him against a
proper
team.
Yeah.
But then again, Wilshere's also another player who can produce magic on his day.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, I'm not a big fan of sort of, predicting lineups or saying my own lineup, because it's Wenger's headache to have and his to sort of make the decision on, and trust his judgment more than mine, to be honest. But I'd like to see Ox giving a run there. Maybe it will be in the second half. Probably will be. But I'd like to see him against Man U in that central role. See what he's made of in that respect.
We're coming towards the end of the podcast now, guys. So this is where we ask for kind of any final thoughts, anything really that you want to add before we close. Do you want to start, Ben? Any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I can do. I think the most saddening thing from yesterday was that we had a chance to show a message. Do you know what I mean? Send out a message to the other teams, but unfortunately we didn't, and we sort of gave it away. And it just leaves you thinking, in the big game, are we sort of brittle, and have we got what it takes to actually challenge for this title this year? So I hope that we go to United and we prove everybody wrong and give them a good stuffing.
Anything from you, Luke? Who's scraping?
I'm not sure really. That's one thing I'd say probably is that I know the Liverpool game was an absolute. I hate saying that word, the Liverpool game, but it was such a poor performance. But at the end of the day, a loss is a loss. It doesn't matter if it's a 100-0 you lose by or 1-0. A loss is a loss, and we just got to get behind the team now and sort of all turn up and sing our hearts out, and hopefully that'll sort of pull the players through that difficult moment. And if we get a result against United, everything's back on track. And again, you look at where we are now. Would you have taken this at the start of the season, even with a couple of shocking results? We've had shocking results before, and we're going to have them again in the future. But if they keep going as a whole, we can do pretty well, I think, this year. So just got to keep the faith up.
Just to butt in, Steve, is what you said earlier, that it's probably better to get 3 points out of it than 2 draws.
Yeah,
definitely.
So I think it's almost a good position to be in, because our back's against the wall and they'll come out fighting.
Yeah, let's hope so. It's people have mentioned the downward spiral before, and it kind of worked in our favour.
Jump off it! Jump off
the spiral. And I think talking about the big games, if we look at the Liverpool game and say, oh, that means we can't perform in the big games, let's not forget we beat them as well. So it's kind of we can perform. If Liverpool's a big game, we have beaten Liverpool already. So any final thoughts from you, Billy?
Yeah, I just really hope, on the more positive side, that the boys sort of realise that they've really gone wrong massively, this weekend, and they need to put it right, especially as we're at home and we're quite good at responding to defeats of late. I really hope that we go out there with a completely different attitude, one that's screams we're going to win this game. And just go out there and don't be afraid, don't be anything, just go out there and play the game you want to play and win the game. Man, you aren't that great. Just go and beat them, please. I mean, it will do wonders for us. Winning at home, in front of our own, before the Bayern game, before the FA Cup again, would be huge.
Yeah, completely agree. Final thoughts from me. I want to see definitely straight out the blocks from everyone. A win against Man U. I want to see a big performance from Giroud. I think he works really hard. I hate it when you see people saying, oh, he's not a Premier League player and things like that. It's like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Some of the technique and the touch and the usually the work rate that he has, but he has had the tendency to go missing in some of the big games. So I want to see a big performance from him. Also, before we close off, I want to do a quick shout out to Darren Berry, which is dberry1979. I'm sure you guys probably already follow him, but if you don't,
top account.
Absolutely brilliant. And throughout yesterday, everyone's all really negative. He just carries on with some of his trolling that he does. People brilliant. Really do bite, and they think he's being serious about some of the things, and it's just great. A great read, and it puts a smile on your face when it's sad. Oh. So thank you all for coming on. Thanks, Luke, and thanks, Billy.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
And Suburban Goon is out.
See ya.